What's up, Bucs fans out there? Happy Monday. I hope everybody had a wonderful Mother's Day yesterday. But right now, we are with another episode of Bucs Report, the aftermath. You got AJ Turnup right here, aka Buff Curry. We got my man Slick, aka the coolest British guy who is always fly. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, you did that. No, that was smooth. That was really smooth.
I do what I do. I make it do what it do. And so, yes, I hope everybody's good out there. So, Slick, you doing all right, my man?
I'm pretty good, just getting into football, waiting for this tape to come through so I can dissect some stuff. Got some stuff to clean up. So, onwards and upwards.
No problem. And then we got a lot of packed things tonight, Bucs fans, because of course, we got to talk about the rookie stuff. We got to overanalyze that and oversaturate just people doing cardio, but that's fine. And we got a guest in the house tonight, and we're gonna bring him on. And we got a lot of
Casey Allen of Pewter Report, bringing him in. Thank you. Welcome to the show, brother. How's it going?
What's up, fellas? How we doing?
We doing good, man. Doing good. Thank you for taking the time out.
Absolutely.
Man, I know you probably don't realize, but during the season, I be tweeting you a lot. I know y'all be busy. Y'all got so many people, but y'all be saying a lot of good stuff that I'm like, look, I just need you to get that into the front office so they can talk to me.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I always got time for Bucs Report. This is where I started, so always got time. When I get the call from the dude, I answer.
Hey, nothing wrong with it. I like that.
As do we all.
Dude sound like he got ties. I like that. Got that. He boss status. Nothing wrong with that. So, please just tell for all the new Buck fans out there, Pewter Report, follow him on Twitter. He really does give a lot of good coverage, especially over the season. So I just wanted to know, how did you come up with that title, Pewter Report?
Well, it's actually I'm not the owner of it. I'm just a writer there, but it used to be Buccaneer Mag way back in the day when it was a paper magazine, and it was just kind of a child of Scott Reynolds and our our president of the company. They just kind of came up with it. Obviously, the Bucs have pewter in their jerseys, always have, and we report the Bucs news. So Pewter Report came together. And it's been that way ever since early 2000s when it made the switch from a paper publication to an online publication.
I like that. Yeah, no, I like that. Thank you, man. That's awesome, guys. Yeah, because y'all be saying a lot of stuff where I'm like, especially after this season, I said, yeah, we're on the same page because we know already what we dealt with last year, but that's the past now. Let's talk about the future. What kind of indications did you? I'm sure you're aware we had the Minicamp last week with the rookies. Was there anyone in particular that you felt that had a buzz or looks like they show good signs that they're going to do something for this season?
Yeah, so I was there both days, Friday and Saturday, and I think when you look at the draft class as a whole, and even the guys that they brought in as undrafted free agents, the common theme was with these guys were character, was leadership, was production, athleticism, and work ethic. And all these guys bring that in droves. I mean, you look at each one of the guys that they drafted and the guys that they signed as undrafted free agents, they all have great stories from where they came from to how they prepare. And during minicamp, again, as you said it, these guys are pretty much out there, doing cardio, no pads on. They've got, they're learning the installs and the basic vanilla, schemes and everything like that of the playbook. Nothing too in depth. The real installs start now. Going into off-season work, OTAs. The rookies aren't there until a rookie mini camp starts. They come in Thursday before that Friday, and that's when they start to come in. Now, some of them draft picks might already have the playbook at that point, and they're going through it. But especially the undrafted guys, they get in the building Thursday. They start the meetings, go through their physicals, sign their contracts. At least for the undrafted guys, And then they, Friday is when they have meetings in the morning. They have a morning walkthrough. They come back in. They have a couple more meetings, and then they're back out there for practice about an hour and a half after walkthroughs. And that's when, they're doing the individual drills. They're doing the team drills, 11 on 11s, 9 on 7, 7 on 7. And that's when, this is all a learning process for these guys. And, the biggest thing these coaches want to see is um, how do you retain information, and then if you do something wrong, because every rookie is expected to make a mistake at some point, how do you bounce back from that? Whether it's a positional drill, whether it's on team drills, on special teams, how do you retain the information? How do you translate that on the field? And then how do you bounce back from it if there's a mistake? They're learning a lot in 2.5 days' time. And I think when you look at it, there were a lot of guys that kind of stood out throughout the days. Most notably, I think Savasier Dennis, their fifth round pick out of Pittsburgh at linebacker, showed off his speed, athleticism. He was mostly utilized as a pass rusher last year because he was one of their best pass rushers behind Kalijah Cansey, their first round pick. And one of the biggest knocks on him was his coverage ability. Is he good in coverage? First day of rookie minicamp, he drops back in the coverage, high points the ball, pick six. Second day, I'm sure you've seen the clip rotating on Peter Report and on my handle at Chasing Allen NFL on Twitter. I got a bunch of pictures of the rookies and videos and stuff, but the one-handed grab. So, kind of silencing people. I've had the fortunate ability to talk to all these coaches. The position coaches of the draft picks, and that was something that his coach said, hey, he's going to surprise. And so, in 2 days of mini camp, again, take it for what you will. I don't put a lot of grain in it, but he definitely stood out to me.
Oh, I like that. I love that. We were talking about that. Slick and I had talked about that a while. I said I want my man Servakia Rokia. Sorry if I butcher your name. I mean, I want him to do well in pass rush.
Servassier, like the drink.
Savasier, that's right.
Yeah, he
Savasier.
likes to go by Voss, though, he said,
Oh
so
well,
there you
hey,
go.
That's easier.
Servassier,
if
Voss.
if he plays like a boss, I'm for it. All we need is for him to be a real good in coverage, just be average. And I think this Bucks defense is can be top five. I say that because I already expect Cansey to do wonders and great things. The simple fact that he is going to be next to like to me an elite tackle in Vita Vea, he's only going to get better. So the boss man works under Levante, future Hall of Famer, hopefully. I think they'll be good because he can mentor them in coverage.
Right.
And but I take like we were saying, cardio is good. I want these guys to be in tip-top form. And what a perfect place not to be in good shape in the state of Florida with all that humidity. So if they can run and fly around for 3.5 quarters through all that sweltering heat, I'm for it. I just want these guys to be intense. So that it sounds like to me that that's what they brought intensity. So I'm for that.
Yeah, and you look at it. Saturday was a bit hotter than Friday. Friday there was a nice breeze, so Saturday they got a real taste of what that Florida heat can be like. It was about 90 degrees out there, so. But there was no one came down with any cramps, no one puked or anything like that, so it was good. I think some of these guys are from Florida originally. So they've spent time down here, Polk County. Josh Hayes and Jose Ramirez, two guys who are from Florida. Servassier Dennis, his dad, and has a lot of family in St. Pete. So, he was able to, be down here quite often as well. When you look at, obviously Servassier Dennis stood out, but, Kalijah Cansey, watching him in position drills especially, his ability, his get off is so quick. His first step is just blazing. There's like I said, there's a bunch of videos. Just go check them out on my Twitter, where he's doing a few drills, and he's literally at like a 45-degree angle from the ground, just hustling around the it's like a figure eight drill, where you start at one side, you do the figure eight, and then you
Mhm.
then you hit the pad to end it. And his get off and his speed around the circles is just incredible. On day 2, there was a situation where Eric Douglas was the center and he had a low snap to one of the tryout quarterbacks. I couldn't really see who it was from my vantage point, but it really doesn't matter. But he burst through the line and had a would-be sack if it was a live type of drill. So, you look at his get off, his ability to just get after the quarterback. And as you mentioned, pairing him next to Vita Vea, who is not a slow guy by any means at his size, former running back and led the team last year with 6.5 sacks. Putting him next to him, a guy who can take up 2 blockers and kind of free up Cansey to do some damage. And even if Cansey doesn't get the sack or Vea doesn't get the sack, the pressure that those two can put up the middle funnels things out to the sides where you'll have hopefully a healthy Shaq Barrett and an improved Joe Tryon-Shoyinka right there, as well as, Yaya Diaby and potentially Jose Ramirez and Anthony Nelson as well, rotating in those areas. And speaking of Yaya Diaby, that guy is built like a brick. You know what? He is just
Yeah.
everything you want as size for a player with the speed, 4.5 speed to go with it.
Absolutely. One thing I wanted to ask you about, you mentioned about some of the stories. Is there any of the stories that you particularly liked of some of these players coming in that you could like that's a really cool story?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them, man. I'll start with Cansey. This is a guy who just, um, didn't have a lot of offers. Was overlooked throughout his entire career. Got an offer from Pitt, and really kind of just honed his craft and his ability over the years. A growth that, his position coach saw. He told him, "You're never going to get taller. There's nothing you can do to get taller. You got to work on your technique, on your speed, on your get off, on your hand placement, hand fighting, and everything like that." That was a cool one with Cody Mock. You know, his position coach at North Dakota State said, he's never seen someone just be themselves and play the game as him. And he'd be doing, if you watch some of the film at NDSU, he just brought that energy and got everybody to just kind of be themselves and play as themselves. And he's out there doing cheerleading moves, and that was a good story. Yaya Diaby, his coach had great things to say about him. One story he told in particular that was pretty cool was, so he went over to, he spent a lot of time at his coach's house, and his coach's younger daughter had a cheerleading routine, and the linebackers are over there. Next thing you know, they're all practicing the cheer routine with his daughter. He goes out, he gets a sack in the next game, and what does he do? His celebration is her cheer routine. So like this is type of the family man and like the type of players these guys are. Continuing down the line, Servassier Dennis, another guy, from a military background. His dad is a huge Bucs fan, has a custom jersey with his name on it. He had already ordered a Servassier Dennis jersey, but it was before he knew his jersey number, so he got a number 7. So he's like, "I'll get my dad a new jersey number." That was a that was a cool story. Pardon me. Another 5th-round pick, Payne Durham. Didn't only played 5 years of football. Didn't play football in high school till his senior year. Played lacrosse, and his one of the football coaches bamboozled him into playing football by challenging him to a 3-point contest, not knowing that the coach was like Steph Curry in high school as a high school kid. So he was draining threes, and that's how he got him to join the football team. He walked he went into Purdue, had minimal success, but studying the tape, realizing, hey, I'm not Kelsey, I'm not Kittle, I'm not Waller, and really kind of fine tuning his technique and what he's going to be, which is a giant red zone threat with 21 touchdowns. Trey Palmer, it was a fun story. His coach told me about when he first got to Nebraska, because he spent his earlier years at LSU and couldn't really crack the lineup. I mean, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Butte, Terrace Marshall Jr. No wonder why he couldn't. So he moves to Nebraska. Coach Mickey was his wide receiver coach there at LSU, who went on to become the interim head coach in Nebraska. One of the first practices there, he goes up to the offensive coordinator, says during 2-minute drill, and he says, "Coach, just Give me the ball 2 times and 2 minute drills over. First play goes for 35 yards. Next play goes for a touchdown. 2 minute drills over. So that was a fun one. Jose Ramirez, you want to talk about a hardworking guy? This dude, the coaches would come back from like late night scouting trips and stuff like that at 11:30, 12 o'clock. They'd pull him to the stadium and they'd see Jose Ramirez running up the stairs, doing stairs at 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. There'd be times where they would walk into the meeting room in the morning and he'd be passed out with film running on the projector, just passed out watching film. So it just kind of speaks to the character these guys have. And
Yeah,
really,
absolutely. Some of these stories that you're giving us are
Golden
absolute nuggets
gems.
of gold, so to speak. And some of the like it shows like work ethic. You've got some fun stories in there as well, and you've got like coaches like really saying that they've done this, they've done that, and then some of these like really unknown like players that like you wouldn't consider being a football player now they're NFL level. So that's kind of really cool to hear.
yeah, absolutely. So I think it just speaks to these guys as people, and then that was a big aspect. There was a lot of kind of tension in the locker room. You heard Tristan Wirfs earlier in the season, and at Peter Report, and I speak to some of the players off the record, and there was definitely some tension in there. Tristan Wirfs said there after the Super Bowl, kind of, there was guys in there who were more individuals than team, and of course, Tom Brady is larger than life, so he's always going to be like that. But there are other guys in there, and I'm not going to name names, but getting back to that,
Yeah.
team first, leadership, character was something they really wanted to attack in this draft. And if you look at it, all these guys had tremendous production too. Whether it was, their path and their growth throughout the years until their final years where they really exploded, with a guy like Jose Ramirez and Yaya Diaby, or they had steady production throughout their career, like a Servassier Dennis and like a Payne Durham, etc. So you look at the guys that they drafted and even the undrafted guys that they brought in. These guys all fit the bill of high character, high quality people that had good production and strong work ethics.
I love that. And in your opinion, well, from what I'm seeing, like you said, you don't have to name names, but I really hope that these young guys come in, like you said. It sounds like they already come in with two good things: accountability and humility. So I hope that maybe we of course, before we go on record, we all say thank you, Brady. He helped bring us a championship and helped us get be relevant again. But it kind of upsets me that you say that there was individualism. I'm hoping now without the presence of a Brady, because like you said, with Brady there, it was almost like I feel like the Eagles got levitated after they won the Super Bowl and they just felt that they could coast. I don't think the second season, I think this final season,
Right.
that they started coasting. But now I hope with these guys, because this is a team, this is not a rebuilt team. I think this is a retooled team, and they have what it takes. If the quarterback can just, if the quarterback can be average and have above average moments, this is an 11 to the 12 win team, and we can sneak away into the playoffs and be dangerous.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I really do hope these guys can keep that humility, accountability, and
Yeah.
passion. What do you think that will happen with these guys coming
Yeah.
into
I
the
think I think whenever you have Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, there's going to be a lot of attention on him, a lot of spotlight on him. I mean, it was Brady and the Bucs, and for that first year, it was completely different because it was COVID, and there was no media allowed, and everyone was, you couldn't be around people, and it was really the sole focus was on football. There wasn't any outside distractions. Couldn't do anything. That second year, I think injuries just kind of took their toll on the Bucs, and especially in that secondary, and they couldn't recover. And then Tristan goes down, and you have that. And then this last year, they're kind of just bringing in mercenaries, guys who have got complacent. Todd Bowles even said it last year. At one point, people are living in the Super Bowl fantasy land
Mhm.
still. And then you just look at the system. The Bruce Arians system is outdated. There, and Byron Leftwich has, as a play caller, just didn't know how to overcome the adversity that they had on the roster. In that Bruce Arians system, you look at everywhere it's been, there's been really talented playmakers all over the field, whether it was in Arizona, whether it was with the Colts, whether it was in Pittsburgh. And for that system to work at its optimum, um, you need to have a plethora of guys who can create even when there's nothing there. And that worked the first 2 years. But once Gronk retired, once, AB left, and they couldn't, Lenny comes in out of shape in training camp, and, they can't stay healthy at the wide receiver position. You saw that if you don't have what they did was, we're going to line our guys up on your guys, and our guys are going to beat your guys with talent. And when they couldn't do that, there was no adjustments. There was no nothing. There was also a lot of tension as well. Talking to some of the offensive linemen, and even Coach Goody came out, mid-season. There were running plays that they would go to the coaching staff and say, we feel really good about these plays against this defense this week, and they wouldn't get called. Coach Harold Goodwin, the assistant head coach and offensive line, usually, interior, works with interior guys mostly, echoed those thoughts. I don't call the plays. And I think that lack of creativity, that lack of understanding how analytics can be a tool for the game, that lack of creativity, to do pre-snap motion, to utilize play action, which the Bucs are one of the best at in the league when they used it, to scheme guys open in different ways other than just saying go beat your man. When the team was banged up and the offensive line was banged up and the receivers were banged up, that was a huge detriment. So I think going forward, Dave Canales is bringing a whole new energy, whole new attitude. It's a very offensive friendly system for everyone involved. Offensive linemen with the athletic guys they have here can get into space, utilize that. With a quarterback, it's a very quarterback friendly offense. With the wide receivers, you look at what they did in Seattle last year. 2,000-yard wide receivers, 4,000-yard passer, 1,000-yard rusher. And that offensive line has been something, it had 2 or 3 rookies on there starting. And even if you go back into the days with Russell Wilson was there, offensive line was always an issue, right? I mean, how many times do we hear rumors come out with, Russell Wilson demanding them or asking them to take offensive linemen or bring offensive linemen in, but yet consistently they were averaging almost 5 yards per carry and were in the top half of the league in rushing yards. So Canals coming in and with that ability to marry the passing game and the rushing game together, and really just make this a user-friendly offense. And I think you kind of hit the nail on your head. The quarterback doesn't need to propel them to win games. What they're going to rely on is, to be honest, what the Bucs relied on in 2002. Sound defense and a game manager at quarterback who's not going to turn the ball over, who's going to make timely throws, and a solid rushing game to propel them to win games. So, I think everybody's buying in. You can feel the buzz in the facility that Canales is bringing on the offensive side. Pretty much know what you're getting with Todd Bowles' defense. It's going to be a good unit every year unless injuries decimate it like they have in the past. You hope everyone stays healthy. But I think that's what you're looking at with this Bucs team this year. And I think there's a lot of excitement, even though Tom Brady's gone, and you're kind of not sure who your quarterback's going to be at this point. There's a lot of excitement in the building, and I think should be in the fan base. Definitely not the national sense, who are burying the Bucs already. But I think there's a lot of excitement in the building about what this Bucs team can do together as a team, as a unit.
Damn right. That's what I want to hear. And I like that. And we gonna, I know you was being a polite individual. We gonna call it how it is. Slick already knows. I've been on we should have canceled Byron Leftwich way back in the day. You said the word adjustments. I'm gonna give you another word: predictability. He was never good, and we love we all again we love Brady, but Brady was a liability last season because one, like you said, when all the pieces weren't together, there was no adjustment, and he was a statue. So defense is new. You just keep Brady up and right and pressure him. The play was dead. Uh,
Hey, I won't mince my words. I'll call Byron out right away. I mean, this is someone who, going back into the 2001 season after they won the Super Bowl, I asked him point blank, do you think that continuous runs on first down to minimal or no gain, and continuing to do it is you know, leading to some predictability on the defensive side, knowing what you're doing. And he blatantly, that's not a real question. That's a fantasy football question,
I remember
is what he
you heard
told
this.
me. I
I heard
asked
this,
him if
disrespect.
if there's a more concentrated effort to scheme guys open. We do that every week. We've done that since we've been here, and that carried on to last year when I asked him questions about EPA and you know, marrying the analytics to the game, and he said this isn't fantasy football. You know, our own Scott Reynolds of Pewter Report asked him what the logic was behind, you know, on running on a certain play, and he said, you know, just there's no logic. There was no logic. Like he was just a very arrogant towards the media.
Yeah.
He felt like he didn't have to explain his job
Yeah.
or explain what was going on or why things weren't working or what they were going to do to make adjustments. His answer was, "We see things y'all don't see." Okay, well, what things?
Yeah.
We just
Yeah.
see things that y'all don't see. When you have Canales, if you watched any of his things,
Very
he's
technically
giving
spoken.
he's giving us things without us even asking for them. He's going into depth, detail, what he's going to do, what he wants. He's not giving away the playbook. We're not giving away the, you know, he's not going to give away the game plan for us on a weekly basis. But he's giving us um he's giving us what he's going to do, what he thinks will, like, it's just listen to his press conference and tell me it's not a night and day difference from what Byron was giving last
Well,
year. So
you never
I will
want.
throw him under the bus all day. We do not see eye to eye.
Oh yeah, no. Canales. One thing that he does that what pisses me off is that Leftwich didn't believe in what he has. I'm sure Canales was licking his chops when he said, "Wait a minute, I got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin on one side." No disrespect to the receiving core in Seattle, but they not Evans, the consistent 1,000 yard receiver. They're not Godwin, the guy who just in 2021 they were considered by a lot of people the best receiver tandem. And then you got a potential guy in Rashad White, and you're right. Canales believes in this offense, and he's gonna. I think he's gonna play to the best of his players' abilities. Byron just played to the best of his tune, which he didn't know because he was in over his head. So that's why he
He
was
was
actually carried.
exposed. He was exposed as an offensive play caller last season, and that's what it was. And Dave Canales has never called a play in his life. I mean,
Hmm.
he's offered advice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not true. He's never called a play at the pro level. He did it at JUCO. He did it in high school football. But he's never done it at the pro level. But you can already get a sense from just being around him that he knows what he's doing and he's got a plan. And it's going to be obviously up to the Bucs and up to the team and to execute that plan.
Yes.
And he's going to put the plan in place for the talent he has around him, for the players he has around him. He's not going to try to fit his talent or lack thereof that could do into a certain system that doesn't work for the team. So the biggest thing too is he's going to adjust if things don't work. I got a little bit of one-on-one time with him on Friday, and I'll tell you, just listening to him and kind of breaking things down, he's going to be good for this team. There might be some bumps and bruises to start. That's why you look at that week 5 bye week, and yes, it does suck because it's so early, but
Yeah.
it also gives him an opportunity to, okay, these things didn't work, these things did work. Let's reset. Let's go back to what works. Let's focus on that, and let's try to win some more games. And the Bucs have a mini bye in after week 8 after that Buffalo game, so it's not too detrimental, I don't think.
No, you got it. I see the Bucks with Canales. I'd see them getting into a rhythm probably by between week 7 and week 9. And the reason why I say that because it's gonna take time, like you said, but I can see let's be clear. We know I think with this Bulls defense, I think they're not gonna be asked to do something overwhelming, but I'm sure Bulls are gonna be like defense. For the first few weeks of these games, I need you to really help this offense until they get in a rhythm so we can, because the defense is going to be set. If they stay healthy, this defense is top 5 in my opinion. So I do agree with you. It's going to take time, and that's fine. All we want to see is improvement, and I think like the way you're talking, we're going to see it. Other than the last guy.
Yeah, yeah. And to jump off of talking about the last guy, I think half the problem with Coach Leftwich was the fact that he'd only ever really been coached in one system. If you look at Dave Canales, he's been around
Yes.
some OCs, so he's seen some different things. and that really adds to your resume. Now I'm in my as my own coaching life has moved on to another team. I'm now learning a whole new system, and if someone turned around to me and said, "Steve, build your playbook," I would. It would be like a married version of what I've learned when I first became a DC and what I'm learning now currently in my new team with the Steelers, um, and kind of a mishmash of those because I had core philosophies of what I believed in when I first started, and it's changed over the time. So the more I think, the more you've been around different schemes and different coaches that have kind of shown you different ways of doing things, the more broaden your horizon, you broaden your skill set's going to be. You're going to have more width rather than depth at
Right.
your skill set because you see so much more. I went from literally a cover three defense for four down linemen in a 4-2-5, still in a 4-2-5 now, but we're now doing quarters and we're doing split field coverage and we're doing
Right.
read. So it's a completely different animal to what we do. The blitzing system's completely called out. We should call that a Mike blitz or a personnel blitz. Now we have a blitz with some slants in. Now we've got some other stuff going on. I'm like, oh, I never thought of that, and I never thought of this. So it broadens your horizon. I think with Dave Canales, he's so technically spoken. Anytime I've watched anything with him, he gets, like you said, depth and detail. And like you said, he's not giving anything away. What he's telling you is the essence of his playbook, almost like the philosophy of his
It's the
playbook.
philosophy, right?
Exactly. Rather than going, oh, on this play we do this, and on this play we do this, and we do this. It's no, this is the philosophy. Work out the philosophy of anyone's team if you really, really look hard enough. But
Right.
that doesn't mean you're going to unlock everything.
Right, and I think you're right too about Byron Leftwich only having experience coaching in one system, but he at one point in his career he was a journeyman quarterback, so he
Been around some.
was in multiple systems as a quarterback, so he should have
Mm-hmm.
been able to pull from some of that. The fact that he couldn't was ultimately his Achilles heel and why he's not in coaching right now. And I think you mentioned it, Canales, not only with Shane Waldron last year, Marty Schottenheimer, or Brian Schottenheimer. There was another offensive coordinator, I think Daryl Bevel, unless he was a defensive guy. I'm not sure. I can't remember. There was another one, and plus Pete Carroll. So he has multiple different schemes that he can pull from to make his playbook, plus things that he utilized at the JUCO level. With the game coming so much faster and so much more spread out, you can use some of those college things, and it's just a modern offense that I think is going to really help the Bucs this year. So, they have to put it all together, of course, on the offensive side, and on the defensive side, they got to stay healthy. But with the players they drafted, with the undrafted guys that they brought in as well, that are going to be competing for spots, and the guys that they already had, on offense. I think, I'm not ready to put a win total on it. I'm not ready to put, whatever it is, but I think, they have a good shot to definitely not bottom of the basement. I don't see that, especially with their schedule. But anywhere between 7-10, 7-11 wins wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. I think they're probably picking right in that middle of the pack, early teens to mid 20s. But when you really look at it too, the NFC outside of Philadelphia, who might have one of those Super Bowl hangovers like the Bengals did the year after they made it to the Super Bowl, the Cowboys will be the Cowboys. And the 49ers are still trying to figure out their quarterback situation, whether it's Trey Lance, Sam Darnold, Brandon Allen, whoever it's going to be. They still have an extremely talented defense and extremely talented offense. But you got to figure out that quarterback position, and that's what the Bucs are going to have to do. There's other teams in there, with the Seahawks and some of these other teams as well that could make, some noise. But I don't see why the Bucs can't make the playoffs. And once they're in there, anything can happen. I'm not saying they're going to be in the Super Bowl, but I think if they punch their ticket to the playoffs with the NFC South Division title, which still looks very possible, even with the Saints bringing Derek Carr, Bryce Young going to the Panthers, and they have a really solid roster as well. Atlanta's going to Atlanta, but I think there's a good shot that they could have a very successful season. Now, does that, what is success? Is that the NFC South title, and a winning record? I think so. I think so in this bridge rebuild retool year where they're installing a new system on offense. Probably going to have a bunch of contributors, young players contributing. I think that's a good starting point for them. And we'll see how it develops. Again, we're not even in mandatory minicamp yet. We still have all a training camp to go. We still have all preseason to go. But if you're a Bucs fan, I think you have to feel good about the draft, feel good about what they did in undrafted free agency, feel good about the signings they made in the offseason, especially bringing Jamel and Levante back, and some of the lower key signings they made with the Ryan Neal, Greg Gaines, Chase Edmonds, etc. And at the very least, I think there should be some positivity around this team, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Especially training camp's going to be a lot of fun. I'm from right outside of Boston. So you're not going to find a bigger Brady fan than me, and I've actually had the blessing to cover him the last 3 years. But I'm more excited this year for training camp and to see what these battles are going to look like than I think I have been the last couple of years. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Awesome, man. I know you got to go, so just one last question before we go. Who do you want in your heart of hearts, in your own? What's your heart telling and what's your head telling you with this quarterback battle? Who do you want? What does your heart want, and what does your head want?
See, I've gotten this question lately a lot, and right now, at this point in time, I don't have an answer. I really don't have an answer. Like, uh, because the system's so new and we really don't know what it's going to look like. I think with Baker, you have a lot of experience there. I don't think he ever got a fair shake in Cleveland. Multiple head coaches, multiple coordinators, offensive systems he had to learn. You look at his, really successful year in 2020. I think that he might be able to replicate that. I don't think the Panthers system and situation was ever a good fit for him last year. I know the Bucs are high on him. If Brady didn't come back last year, they would have made a play for Baker Mayfield. So I know they really like him. And I think this offense will help hide some of his deficiencies while highlighting his strengths. But at the same time, Trask is a complete unknown, and he was a second-round pick for a reason. If he would have came out of the draft last year, he probably would have been the first quarterback off the board ahead of Kenny Pickett. He's never gotten the chance to really play with Mike and Chris in the first team offense. So I'm excited to see what he's got too. The coaches said all the right thing. He checks up from the neck up. He's putting in the work, putting in the time, got the perfect frame. He might not be as mobile as Baker, but really right now, like it sounds so cliche, but I'm just hoping for a really good competition. At this point, I don't have a way I'm leaning who I want to win, who I hope wins, who I think will win. And I think Canales' press conference this week just hammered that home that this is going to be a real competition. He's not going to rush to name anybody, even if they think that there's a benefit of getting starter more reps than splitting them 45-45-10. I think that the plan that he laid out and the thought process, that's the thing, the thought process behind it. You've got two guys preparing for a starter for 6 months. You've got two guys that are ready to go, and may the best man win. And that's just where I'm at right now. May the best man win. Let's see what it looks like in training camp. If Trask starts to struggle, if Baker starts to struggle, if they both start to struggle, then maybe I'll lean one way or the other. Maybe I'd lean Baker because of experience if they're both not looking great, or if So right now, to answer your question in a long-winded roundabout way, I don't have a preference. I'm not pulling for anybody. I just want to see a good competition, and I think whoever wins that job will be in a good place to move the Bucs offense forward, and have it performing better than it did last year at times.
Smart answer. I like that answer. That's a smart answer.
It's political, but it's not even meant to be political. It's not because like I don't want to pick a name because I don't want to be wrong. It's just I really don't have like I try to think about it. I just don't have a preference right now. I just want a good competition because I think they both have the necessary skills to do it.
There it is.
That's fair. Okay, we'll let you get out here, JC, because I know you just you did send a message saying you only had like 5 minutes left, so we'll let you get out of it. JC, if you've got an article you want to pump and talk about it, please pump it out right now.
Yeah, we all of our stuff's over at pewterreport.com, at pewterreport on Twitter. If you guys aren't following me, my Twitter handle's right there at JCOnNFL. I'm your one-stop shop for all Bucs stuff, whether it's our articles, whether it's stuff from the Bucs, whether it's news around the league. You pretty much follow me, turn your notifications on, and you're going to be up to date with anything Buccaneers. That's just how I roll over there. And then, yeah, we've got a bunch of articles out, more articles coming out. I've been doing the coaches. Like I said, I spoke to all these coaches. So I've got a bunch of articles up already, more to come about some of these coaches' quotes on the players that they drafted, some of the undrafted guys, some right from the players themselves. So definitely check out all of our content at Peter Report, and check out my Twitter. My Twitter right now is full of videos and pictures from minicamp too. So if you missed out not being there, well, I mean, if you obviously you guys couldn't be there because you're not media, but it makes you feel like you were there.
Right.
That's awesome.
Thank you for
JC.
your time. It was a pleasure, JC. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'll do this again sometime soon, guys. Have a good one.
You too.
See you soon, man.
Later. Now that's good news, y'all. Bucks. Did y'all Buck fans hear that? Hold on. First off, Ben, this is nice. I like this. That's the Savassier. Yes, that'll be dope. If he can catch, if he can do his thing in coverage, I'm all for it. But I do like the fact that he was able to confirm they listening to us, Slick. We didn't say how many times we didn't said half the shit on it. They're listening.
We got this down. We got this locked down.
Yes, I felt good. I'm like, he has said so many things that we have said already.
Yeah,
Bucks. Come on, Buck players. Please, you cannot get complacent, no matter what. So I'm glad these young boys understand that it's serious and they can do things. But like he said, the media is gonna shit on us because they were too busy licking up Brady. We are aware of that. We're aware of that. But
now we get to fly under the radar.
And I love it exactly because I looked at the schedule and like you said, it wasn't that many teams where I was like, oh my God, we're just gonna get destroyed.
Hey, let's break down the schedule a minute. And we can't guarantee wins or anything like that, but we can. I looked at this and we got a very good chance of getting to our bye week 2-2.
Agreed. I'm gonna go with 3-1.
I see Minnesota's a 50-50 game. That's the only reason why.
Here's where I disagree. The only reason I say that, we don't know what to expect. Did you hear that they might not even bring back Dalvin? Or if they So this is what I'm saying. I like Justin Jefferson. Don't get me wrong, but I think
they got rid of Thielen.
Thielen's gone. So I like them, but I think this Bucs defense is going to be too over. Remember the first game we played Dallas? That Bucs defense embarrassed that offense. I think now if Kancey can just be average, if Savassier is average, and the rest of our starters do what they do, I don't see Kirk Cousins getting out of there alive. If Kancey is average the entire game, Vita's having 2 sacks. If again with the rotation, Nelson or JTS can get the pressure. I'm not convinced that Minnesota is there. I'm just not. So that's the only reason. But I get what you're saying though. But what was the next game after Minnesota?
Chicago, I see that as a win.
That's a big W because Justin ain't got no line and he still don't have anyone to throw to out of.
Yeah, I think they got him somebody, but it wasn't. It's
keyword
not
somebody that is going to take to build a repertoire. And by
then we go Philly, which will probably be a loss.
That'll be oh man, that's one of those another ones. I think it's going to be a loss more likely, but I'm not going to. I'll say this:
we could be a trap game for them.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think the Eagles look. I like Hurts, but this season to me is going to determine if Hurts is that franchise guy. Because again, if this defense plays average, like if they play the way they play the rookies play average, I don't know. But in all fairness, and for the realistic, we'll count that as a L. 2-1.
So what I did when I did this is I took in what I thought were I say slam dunks, and I say slam dunks in the sense of most likely wins.
Yeah.
Then I looked at and then I removed our divisional opponents out of that. So then I decided what I was going to do with the divisional opponents, just say we won the home games and lost the away games.
Yeah.
Right. So if I do that, that means we lose to. That puts us at a 2-2. I have us as a 2-2, maybe a 2-2. I have us at a 2-2 record. Because with the 50-50 games, I looked at the 50-50 games. And I went, well, who would I rather win? Would I rather beat the Lions or would I rather beat the Vikes? Well, I'd rather beat the Vikes because it puts us on a 1-0 record straight off the bat, which
Yep.
means you can bleed a game if you need to. Then you go Chicago, you could be 2-0 straight off the bat. Philadelphia, I looked at as an out. New Orleans could be a trap game for us just because it is at the Superdome.
Yes.
That's the only reason. Then we got the Lions. I put us down as a loss on that because I had to pick. I decided the 50% games I would lose 2 of them and I would win 2 of them.
Okay.
Atlanta at home, we win. I'm writing these down as I go. So we go. Hang on. We start off. We open up 1-0. Yeah.
Yes.
We're open, and this is just like ideal situation. All right, 1-0. Then we go 2-0. Then we go to the Philadelphia, come to us, and we lose 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that we're going to lose 1 against New Orleans at home. I do believe it's a winnable game. It's New Orleans. I decided to split our because I wanted to be worst case scenario. I didn't want to just say the sky is on fire right now and we're living life. So that puts us at 2-2. Then we got the Lions coming to us. We drop a game, but then we go Atlanta. We're now 3-3, and this is going to happen quite a lot. There's going to be a lot of we lose a game, we win a game. We lose a game, we win a game.
I agree.
That's what's going to happen. So then we go Buffalo. Buffalo's going to put us down, so we're 3-4. Houston Texans, I believe we're 4-4.
Yep.
Tennessee Titans, we're now 5-4.
Yep.
San Francisco 49ers. That isn't necessarily a game that we can lose, but they're so physical. I decided to give them the benefit, and we're traveling to them, so we're now 5-5. Indianapolis Colts. No, let's not even bother.
Right. That's a
6-5. I do believe we got a guest, so we'll let the guest come in first.
Yes.
We got JT Olsen.
My man, what's up? JT Olsen in the house. Hold on, let's bring him on. The man with the Matrix background. How you doing?
Hey, how y'all doing?
We good.
Yeah, we're breaking down the schedule a little bit.
Yes. You want to get in on this fun? Because we were just talking about how the media is just down on this Bucs team, but we're looking at the schedule. We're like, are you guys that short? If we have an average quarterback with this roster, we don't need an elite
superhero.
Yeah, just do your job. So we were just breaking it down. We were just talking about it. He says the Vikings, that's a W. Chicago's a W. Philly's an L.
I got New Orleans as an L because it's away. What I did is I split our divisional opponents in half. And
I think that's a pretty safe, conservative way to go with it. I mean,
I think it was very
4-2, 3-3, pretty safe.
Yeah, because you should win. The idea is you should win your home games, and there should be certain games that are away that you should like slam dunk on, unless you're going against a team at home that's really, really good. So I went Detroit Lions. I had that as a 50-50 game. So what I did with my 50-50 games is I got them all together and then split them in half. Again, conservative and simple. And then I got us going. So that puts us at that point in time. We are 2-3. We play against the Atlanta Falcons. We're 3-3. We then go against the Buffalo Bills. I see that as a loss. So that's 3-4. The Houston Texans puts us at a 4-4. Then we got San Francisco. I believe that will probably be a loss, more than likely, just because of the physical brand of football, and we're traveling to them. Then we go Indianapolis. I believe that we win that game. Then we got Carolina at home. I believe we win that game. Atlanta, because I split them, I put it down as a loss. That's away. Green Bay. I believe we still win that game.
Yeah.
Jacksonville I had as a 50-50. That could go either way. Honestly, that is literally either way. And then New Orleans at home, we win. And then Carolina away. I believe that gives us a record of about 9-8.
Yep, I had the same record when I did my quick run through. And I think, probably some games I had switched around. I know I'm projecting us to win the Lions game coming off a bye. They'll have Jamison Williams suspended still. But like you said, as long as this team has average quarterback play, 26 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, 4,000 yards, doesn't have to be amazing. This is a division winning caliber team.
I agree. I guys, call me an optimist. I got 11. These are the 2 games. I got us sweeping
So
Atlanta.
that's where I put us at our highest.
Yeah.
I see our floor around about 6.
Yeah.
I see our average around about between 8 to 9, and I see our the ceiling is probably about 11.
Yeah, I give it 11 because I feel like we're sweeping the Falcons or it's going to be between the Falcons or the Panthers. But the reason why I say the Falcons because they still don't really have an identity on offense, and they don't have a true quarterback just yet. He's unproven. We got to see if Pitts is going to be healthy. I like the fact that they got the running back, but we've already talked about this, JT, and Slick has already said this. You getting a running back that high is not going to necessarily change your offense because the Bucs defense is known to stop the run. So that's not really where it's at. And I see us beating Jacksonville. Hear me out.
Depends where Jacksonville is at the time. If Jacksonville's in a bit of a spiral, you're absolutely right.
Yes, I see us getting that. I see us getting them. I'm not sold yet. That's a team that because they were under the radar and they were lost and forgotten, they found a way to come up. But I do think Bowles is gonna say, yeah, that's the team that we're not gonna take lightly. You beat them and you beat them down. Now, I said this is a wishful thinking win. Is it Philly, JT? Me and Slick were just talking about that before you got here. I would love for them to win, but realistically, I think we won't have enough yet. And I think their defense is going to overwhelm the offense because that's only the 3rd game of the season. The offense is not going to be ready yet. So, in the defense, it'll be a close game, in my opinion. I think the most that they'll win by is between 6 to 10 points because offensively, like it's going to be a defensive battle, but I wouldn't be surprised if Baker had or whoever starts the quarterback has a bad game because that defense is going to be there. But this team, if the quarterback stays average and Baker has mobility, so with that alone, the offense has a chance of not being predictable and lethal. And gosh, guys, what if we get Shaq Barrett from 2020, like around week 9, 10, and he comes into his form?
I'll take that defense in 2020 any day of the week, to be honest, and twice on Sunday. So
yes. So yes, I'm sorry, and we got all into a Buck fan. We passionate, but JT, what's up? Tell for the new people out there, tell them about yourself and what you got going on right now.
Yeah, well, you can find all my written work over at bucksreport.com. I just put out a new article today talking about Kalijah Cansey and how he's not just a pass rusher, but I think he's also going to be a really good run stopper for the Bucs. Find our podcast every Friday night at 9:30, the Creamsicle Chronicle podcast, where we will probably be breaking down the schedule this week with my co-host returning back. So, we're going to be talking about how I think Philly's a really good matchup for the Bucs as well. I'm kind of with you on that, AJ. I think Philly will win because they're more talented and their defense is going to be a problem. But, Carlton Davis, it's a good matchup for AJ Brown. The fast linebackers like Devin White, they can contain a guy like Jalen Hurts. So we'll probably be echoing a lot of the same thoughts you guys got going on tonight. It sounds like we're kind of on the same page.
That's right. We sinking. Now, now with Cansey, what do you expect him to be more dominant at in the first, let's say the first 8 games, the run or the pass?
I think probably the pass because that's probably where they're going to utilize him more. I think they'll probably rotate Greg Gaines in more for running situations because he's that bigger body. He's more experienced. And Kalijah's going to have to get used to the size and speed of the NFL. And, the speed shouldn't be a problem because he's faster than anyone he's going to go up against. But we saw him dominate college with his skill, his hand usage, his technique. And he's going to a more advanced level where everyone's a good technician. Everyone he's playing is going to be able to, counter what he's doing. And luckily he has such a deep bag of tricks. He's got move upon move upon move, but it's gonna take a transition to really thrive in that area. So I think just situational pass rushing, that's how they're gonna ease him in a little bit. But I think he's gonna be a 3 down, playmaker by the year's end.
Ooh, I like that. But I like that. The pass, hell, if he is good on the pass, man, God help this opposing team, because if he can get you or he don't get you, Vita gonna get you. I like that. I like that.
You
That's
got those linebackers straight behind that.
Yeah, it's like pick your poison. Would you want Devin White to hit you or drill you? Or would you want if you think you're safe on the outside, here comes Antoine Winfield. Splat. Yeah. I think this is I haven't seen a team full of hard hitters, and this is a hot take, since the 2002 Bucs. It seems like this season, like we got a lot of players that's ready to thump and contain. Thump and contain. Antoine Winfield gives me what we thought, and this is a throwback. We thought what Tenard Jackson could have been. For all you Buck fans out there, Tenard was the truth when he could stay, not high, and then when he could stay chill. Antoine Winfield gives me that vibe, but better. I think, of course, our other safety guy, he's going to be fine. Levante is going to be fine. Of course, he has the Derek Brooke-esque type of, I'm here for my guys. Vita Vea is just a Samoan sap. That's all he is, you know.
I'm good.
So I'm good with this defense. Like you said, Slick, I'm taking this defense. I wouldn't be surprised if in the first 7 games, the defense itself wins us 4 of them. That's where I'm going.
I like it. Hey, you've always got to back yourself, right? That's just kind of like the vibe you got to go with. You can't turn around and go, "Oh, we're gonna lose all these games and stuff." We're Bucks fans. We've got to be positive. You know what kind of Bucks fans will we be if we sit there and go, "Oh, we're gonna lose 90% of our games"? It's just not. It's not. What's the point? And we have to be optimistic. It's the whole point of being a Bucks fan, of being fanatical about football or fanatical about your team, is that you are going, well, that game, it may look like a bad game, but it could be a trap game for them, and it's not necessarily a bad game for us.
Hey, we got a trap game against the Steelers. I remember I thought we were going to go in there and do our job.
Generally believe that, with our passing offense, with them having like literally every DB out, and they're hiring people off the street, and they've got second round players from the 4th round having to play nickel, or they've got second round players, second year players who are undrafted free agents playing safety. I'm like, easy, done. Just launch it.
I was thinking
just go run, and I was like, what are we doing?
And then the Carolina game was just as bad. We had a arena football quarterback in there, and so yes, as Buck, look, guys, Buck, it's a Buck's life, as they used to say back in the day, for better or for worse. There are games we used to play where we're like, this is going to be a nightmare. I'll tell you one game, and you guys remember this. Remember when we played the Rams early in 2019? I'm thinking, this is with Winston. I'm thinking the Bucs were going to get smacked. I thought we was going to just get destroyed. What do you know? We came out there and we embarrassed them. We threw up a 50 burger on them.
Yep.
So yes, the Bucs can be very hot and cold. We'll go and beat a team that we ain't supposed to beat, and then a team where it's like, all right, the Bucs should get this together today. The Bucs get embarrassed. So I don't know, but JT, give me 2 players right now that are rookies on this Bucs team that you after the little OTAs last week, you were saying, this is good.
Well, one who's I really like was one of our undrafted guys, and I think he's going to not only make this team, but I think he's going to be a starter at some point this year, and that's Chris Izien out of Rutgers.
Ooh.
He's got nearly 50 college starts. I think he has 51. He might have a little more than 50, but he's super athletic, super physical. I mean, if nothing else, he's going to be an absolute missile on special teams. And everything about him I like. Every time I've heard him speak, he comes off as super smart. He's from New York. He's a New York guy. He's super tough. I think he's going to be our starting nickel. I like him a lot better than Josh Hayes, if I'm being honest.
Ooh.
Okay.
I like him. Is he more of a hitter, or can he be good in coverage? Does he have the speed, or is he a hitting corner?
He's both. He's physical. He plays bigger than his size. He's only like 5'9", 195, but he comes in like a missile. But he's also super fast, super quick. He's got all the athletic tools you would want for that nickel position, who you want to be a little bit quicker.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just he's got to prove it. I mean, undrafted, he's got a long road to go to even make the team. I just really like his game. I think he's a super underrated player, and I think he's going to really fill that niche for us.
I love it. I love it. I love that. I hope so. I hope you're right. That secondary has got to stay contained, and healthy. That will be a good key, especially later on down the line. I'm just looking for guys like Winfield and Carlton Davis actually to ascend. If Carlton can hold on to the damn ball, he could be considered an elite corner because he can hit, he can contain. He just when the ball ain't dropping in his hands, he hot hands hanging out here. It's like I need you to just catch the damn ball, Carlton.
There have
So
been a fair few. There's been a few where you see him thumping the ground straight
it's like
after
it's like
a
what the
really
hell, Carlton? How do you? And then he'll somehow catch a interception where it's like, how'd you do that? So yes, I just need. I really want this secondary to stay strong. Like Slick said, this is the healthiest that we have been, and we can do things. We can do good things because we're all behind Dean. We're all behind Winfield. Um, the biggest thing now is the pass rush. Like we want to see where's this pass rush going to be. In your opinion, what do you have a good feeling about this pass rush, or do you feel like it's still a work in progress?
I feel really good about this pass rush because, one, I believe in Cansey. I think his college tape was as good as anyone who was drafted this year. We'll see how it translates being, 6 feet tall and smaller than me. I mean, that's not necessarily a recipe for success when you're playing defensive line, but, athleticism and technique, he's got down. So I'm a big believer in what he can do. I'm really excited for Logan Hall in year 2, just his length, his athletic ability. He had 2.5 sacks as a rookie, which, he's going to be replacing Will Golston. Will Golston only topped 2.5 sacks twice in his entire career. So I don't know if Hall's going to be a better player than Will Golston this year, but I think he'll be a better pass rusher. And then, like you said, just got to get Shaq back healthy. If he can do what he was doing last year, JTS, I think, is going to be more productive this year, especially with Cansey kind of pushing things from the inside of the pocket. I think this pass rush is going to be really good. And then you top it off with everything Bowles does with the blitzing game. I mean, it didn't seem like this was a dynamic pass rush last year, but they were 7th in the NFL in sacks. So you add Cansey, you add a step forward from Hall. I think it's going to be one of the best pass rush in the league.
That's fair.
Like, yeah, you got anything else to add? I'm thinking. Go ahead, Slick.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've already said you got your starting nickel. Do you? And we didn't get the left tackle situation. So where do you see us going with this left tackle situation? Well, the right tackle situation now.
It sounds like it's going to be Luke Gedeke, which I don't love that move. I mean,
That's the only thing I didn't like about our draft is we didn't address a need that was, I think, literally everyone had as one of the biggest needs that we had. I mean, you could argue quarterback because we don't technically have one, but they did sign somebody, so it's not like you've got no one there at all. And then there were a few other bits and pieces. They addressed the line from a defensive standpoint incredibly well, like more so than we could have ever thought, to be honest. I'm really pleased with what they picked up. But then on the offensive line, they went for another guard, and I'm like, well, why are we going for a guard? I know he did play left. March did play left tackle, but they usually tend to transition the bigger ones into guards, and that was the same with Luke Gedeke. Small school, develop him into a guard, and it's like, so we got any tackles we're going to use?
We got a bunch of guys who can play tackle. I mean, Gedeke played it in college. Mock played it in college. Matt Filer played it in Pittsburgh his first couple of years. So they all can play tackle. I just don't think any of them can play it well at the NFL level. And I mean, I think Gedeke's a guard. I think he projects as a guard. He's short-armed. He's athletic. So I think playing guard suits him, especially in this wide zone system. But it feels like they talked themselves into this plan based off one game against the Falcons. Like, oh yeah, he can play right tackle. Look at him go.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
When everything about his college tape says this guy's going to be a guard in the NFL. So it's It seems to be the plan they're going with. I just don't think it's a good plan.
So then where does that go for Cody then? He's going to be a left guard, right guard?
Yeah, I would guess so.
Sounds like he's going to be on the left side next to Gedeke. So you're going to have a young, inexperienced right side, and then you're going to have Wirfs, Filer, and Jensen kind of on the left, which is a big, physical, nasty left side. Which that sounds good, but I'm concerned about the right side of the line, even though I really like Mock and what I think he's going to turn into. Just the
You've got to give him
inexperience
an
between those two.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people seem to think that when you draft a rookie that they are automatic. I mean, he could be the next coming of a player that just some players just click and they go in and it works, and like Ali Marpet.
Yes.
But everyone seems to think every time we draft a small school guy, he's just going to turn into the next Ali Marpet, and it doesn't always work that way. Most players take a year to develop. It also depends on who's next to them. Like if you've got a really good tackle next to you and you've got a good center next to you, then you're going to thrive a little bit more because there's less stress on you. When you've got an inexperienced guy next to you and then an experienced guy next to you, that means inside you don't have to worry about, but then the outside you probably will a bit more because there are two of you that are pretty. If they start Gedeke at left tackle, he's pretty much a rookie left tackle at this point in the NFL. He's only got X amount of snaps. There's less than 100 of them. So when you put that together with a guy who's never played in the NFL, it makes a very scary side, so to speak. They'll be putting a tight end on that side for sure.
A tight end, a running back, anything they can do to help out. I think they'll have to.
But I think with my man from Durham from Purdue, I think that will help if they decide to run to the right because he does have that dog energy and he could help with that and also me Slick and JT, I like running spreads, I like doing rollouts. Oh, we're rolling that ball out. Okay, if you want to try to go to the left side to the right side like that and bring everybody, we're going to make you pay heavily. Oh, here comes a quick crossing route with a speeds receiver or Cade Otton. Oh, okay, keep on. Okay, Rashad White, like you said, you're chipping, and we're still gonna bomb it. So, yes, you're right. The right side is gonna be a question mark, but that left side, it's gonna be so much where I think the defenses are gonna have to say, look, guys, we can't continue to try to go to the right and try to expose them. Otherwise, we're gonna get exposed. So I think it cancels out. But you are correct though. If he plays again, we already know if he plays the same level at left tackle as he does at right, $200 million, or he's walking, and we're gonna have to find a way. So I do agree. Now, what receiver outside of Evans and Godwin do you feel is gonna have a breakout season? Like they're gonna contribute heavily to this offense.
I mean, I guess the only answer I have is Gage because we got to see it a little bit last year, and everything after that is really unproven. I mean, I like Trey Palmer, and I think they're going to maximize his speed because they wanted to get faster, and he was the fastest wide receiver in the draft. So I think they're going to be creative with them with end arounds and just hit him with that crossing route and just let him outrun defenses. But I mean, he was a 6th-round pick for a reason. He's not a super crisp route runner. He's had some drop issues. So I guess the only proven commodity you can look at on this roster is Russell Gage because, we saw he's a good possession receiver. I don't think he's super dynamic by any means, but, he can be that guy in the red zone if you take your eyes off Evan and Godwin and, you're looking for the screen in the backfield and, oh, right, I forgot Gage is good too. I got to cover him. So it's just kind of process of elimination. I'm optimistic about guys like Palmer and some of these other guys that haven't really shown anything. But in terms of who's going to have a breakout year and really be one of those contributing guys, I mean, it's kind of gauged by process of elimination for me.
Yeah, I'm going with Cade Otton. I think Cade is going to come out of nowhere and just make his presence known. He's a good crisp route runner. We've always talked about that. But I think they're going to switch it up, and Canals is going to say, you know what? Let's see what you got. Let's see what you got. Because like you said, he could be really good on a running up the seam. And now If with the arm that Baker or Trask do have, I think both are capable of launching it up that seam. And where, like you said, now they got to go, oh damn, we do have to take account for him. And I want Russell Gage. I think Russell to me is like a smaller Godwin. Like he's a poor man's Godwin on this team. He can catch the traffic catches and make break tackles and run. But yeah, my money's right now is on K Dot, and Slick knows that's my guy right there. K Dot is my guy. I believe in him.
I mean, they'd be smart to utilize the two tight end set, especially if the one from Purdue starts to show a little something, and then you can really play with it because you got a really fast guy there. I think there's going to be packages for certain players, but when you're looking at productivity of what you want to get, it's probably going to be Russell Gage because he's probably the starting. He's probably the start. The I suppose what you would say the bona fide like backup to the starters, which means he's going to get a lot of playing time. When we know what happens when Mike Evans catches a ball and he hits the floor. What happens, guys? He goes off for fight. He goes off for a rep. Someone will come in for it. Probably likely going to be someone like Gage. That guy cannot catch. Mike Evans cannot catch a ball without getting checked by a trainer. Honestly, I think he has a special relationship with the trainers. He just likes being touched. It's probably a man.
And then
I just think he just likes a bit of attention.
And he'll come back out and kill. He'll come back out and kill.
Sure, 100%, because that guy will fight through everything. But Mike Evans can't take a hit without being looked at. He just can't. He's not that kind of guy who just gets straight back up and goes and realigns. He's that guy who has to get checked. Look, I got a player in my defense exactly the same. I was explaining because he's with me. He's come from my old team and with my new team. I said, put Dine in. Well, okay. I said, if you want someone to fit the run, he'll fit the run for you. He might die doing it, but he'll fit the run for you. Because when he was younger, he'd put people in ambulances. Now he'll put himself in an ambulance. He'll put them in an ambulance, but he'll probably be lay next to them. Because he'll go for it. Like, he just doesn't give a shit. And I was like, if you want someone to fit it and get a hard hit in, he'll do it for you. He just might die.
Yeah, that guy.
I said, do you have a crush on our trainer or something? And he's like, what? And I was like, just saying. I mean, she's not a bad looking girl, but is there something there? He's like, no. And I'm like, all right.
Yes, So as you can see, we are very optimistic about this team, and we should, because again, the NFC is still weak. It's nowhere near the AFC. Thank God we're not over there. The Eagles, JC Allen said it. They might have a hangover like the Bengals did. 49ers, they're still in search of a quarterback to truly start. And let's not forget, JT and Slick, they used to have injury problems as well. If some of their starters go down, I don't think their depth is as strong as it used to be. So that could be an issue for them.
I just want to quickly add to this. Sorry, we're talking wide receivers. This guy that we just signed, David Moore, stats aren't too bad. I'm just looking at him now. First year, 2018. He hasn't played much the last 2 years, but stats before that: 400 yards, 300 yards, 400 yards, a couple of touchdowns here and there. Not bad.
Oh well, Light is
that's another guy that seems like that they could put in. Is they wanted to go pure spread and they wanted to go 10 personnel. They could easily bring in use that kind of guy. Yeah. Obviously, being in Seattle, he has some work. He's done work with Dave Canal as well. So that's somebody kind of, I wouldn't say knows the scheme, because this is obviously he's been in someone else's scheme that Dave Canales has been a part of. But that Dave Canales knows what this guy can do, and probably, I wouldn't say pounded the table, but maybe whispered in the ear of him, went, he's inexpensive, guys. Bring this guy in. I might be able, I reckon I can get him to his former glory. Having your fourth wide receiver with 300 yards isn't bad.
No, not at all. And we know Light has a way of getting receivers. I mean, just think his first home run was Mike Evans. He was able to help, I know this is Brady, but still AB was here. Scotty Miller. He know
Adam
Godwin.
Humphries. Adam Humphries
Adam
to me,
Humphries.
hands down, is one of his best projects he ever did.
Yeah,
Like,
and
don't get me wrong, we know what we got with Mike Evans. Chris Godwin's in that vein because he was a third round pick and he was considered good but not great. To exploit the way he has and become the starting level or high end wide receiver that he is now, that's a detriment. That's like a big tick in the column, because all the first round guys, you expect them to be good. That's kind of the expectation. So Mike Evans being as good as he is no real shock. It's the fact that he's consistently that good that
yeah,
makes him special.
yes,
Yeah.
agreed.
If he would have had a couple of 900-yard seasons with a few less touchdowns here and there, and he's not quite where he is, we'd just say he's a great wide receiver, and that's all well and good. Like, if he goes to 7 of those 9, it's still really good for a first round pick. And then you got Chris Godwin doing what he's doing. People like Adam Humphries, undrafted free agents, he has been so good at finding some diamonds in the rough that nobody saw coming. And you'd be like, wow, oh, he just found, he just turned what some people probably thought were trash into treasure.
Yes. Humphreys was a joy, and yeah, and Winston.
Cameron
Cam
Brate.
Brate too.
Yeah,
Cam Brate
Cameron
that
Brate.
same way.
Oh yes, make Cam Brady, make Cam Brady again. I thought that was nice, and that's the thing though. And people can say what they wanted about Winston, but he got those guys a lot of them noticed. And Humphreys with a check in Tennessee, yeah, he knows how to find the diamond in the rough, and that's why I do believe in him. Any news, JT, on that running back we got out of Syracuse? Has he been?
I mean, from what I've read and heard, no update. He's waiting to be cleared from his heart issue, whatever that was. I don't know exactly what it is, but whatever it is, it kept him from being drafted. When he does get cleared, though, I think he's going to be really good.
Okay. Is he a speed guy or is he a power guy?
He's super fast. He worked out at his pro day. He wasn't able to work out because of his heart flag at the combine, but his pro day, he ran a 4.33.
Ooh.
So he is fast, and you see it on tape. And Garrett and I did a skill position ranking, running backs, receivers leading up to the draft. He's one of my top 5 running backs in the entire draft. He's got vision, he has got great speed, and he is compact. He is like 5'9", 200. So he's not a power back by any means, but he can run through some arm tackles. He's got some thickness to his frame.
I just had an idea. Put him and Rashad in a double running back set in the shotgun. You can call it a day. You can switch it up. Okay, Rashad, you're blocking on this one, and he's going out. Or if you really want to get fancy about it, put him in a slot, because he could catch and he could go and break tackles, or he's good at catching in traffic. Man, I'd have a field day with a running back that can run a 4.33. Because then, if I want to be slick, I'll put the wide receiver in the backfield just to confuse them, just to make them think that something's going on, and do a fake handoff or a play action roll out. Don't get me started.
Can you imagine the jet fake to Trey Palmer at 4.33 and the handoff to Tucker at 4.33? It's just,
that's what I'm saying. You somebody is gonna have to bite. Somebody's gonna bite. That's what I'm saying. Because you can't take a chance. Because then, if you want to, you could just switch the entire play up and be like, oh, because if they have personnel in to stop or run, okay, this is what we're gonna do now, Palmer. You're just going to go and call it a day. Now they don't have the guys in there to contain. And Baker Mayfield throws a 48-yard bomb, and nobody was there. The play was broken. So yes, that's why I heard a lot about him. I know he was that fast. I just heard that, like you said, compact, and he compliments Rachaad White. So that's what I like to hear. I think Rachaad is going to be. I don't know if he's going to have 1,000 rushing yard season, but I
think the Buccaneers need to get that. That's the one thing we haven't done in such a long time. I'd like him to get that.
I think he's between 800 to 900, and the reason why they're going to use him in the pass a lot too, because remember, he's good at catching in the pass, and he's a good blocker. That's the only reason I don't think he'll get 1,000.
See, I think if there's a reason he won't get 1,000, it's because a guy like Sean Tucker is cutting into his carries. I think so highly of Tucker. I think this time next year we'll be talking about Tucker as RB1 and Rashad White kind of being that complimentary guy behind him.
Really?
Ooh.
Oh yeah, I really like what Sean Tucker does.
You see this could be the steal of the draft.
I absolutely think so. I think he would have been a 3rd-round pick if he hadn't had a heart issue.
Okay. Well, let's just hope that for his sake, not just football and life, but for right now, football, get cleared, man. So we can have 2-4-3-3 people on the field. My God. And then you got Mike Evans and then Godwin. And it won't be fair if you do it right. And the best thing is it can do right because Byron's gone.
As I say, can't be worse than last year.
Oh, it won't be. Byron is gone. And there's a reason why he's unemployed. But he'll be all right. He got millions to sit back on. Only thing that's hurting now is his pride.
I remember when we first let him go, and everyone's like, "Oh, why did they let Byron go? He just won them a Super Bowl." Everyone outside of Tampa was just like, what a scapegoat. And then Byron Leftwich calling up colleges like Notre Dame, asking about their offensive coordinator job. No one wanted him. Yeah. No one wanted to touch him.
Well, Slick has said this way back in the day. They're going to ask the same questions. You had Brady, you had Evans, you had Godwin, you had all these weapons. What the hell happened? Well, and then more than that, we had the Pewter Report, JC. I don't know here. Well, they asked you the question this way. Are you going to do that in college? Because, college is a very more of a family-oriented place. You can't just be out there just talking crazy like that with some arrogance. They're going to be like, excuse me. And again, it's like Byron. We saw your career. You acting like you had careers where you threw for 5,000 yards for 2 or 3 seasons and you was out here throwing 40 touchdowns. No, sir. He sucked when he was with Tampa. Josh Johnson took his job. And then when he was even in Jacksonville, David Garrard was still better. He was just old by then. You saw how he was in Pittsburgh. So, yeah.
I mean, if we're being honest, his highlight moment is him being carried down the field at Marshall. He broke his leg or whatever. He got hurt, and his offensive line just carried him down the field to play. And that's the best thing he ever did. That was his coolest moment.
That was his coolest moment. And like you said, that was in college. Not taking anything away. Hey, we all look, he played in the NFL. He got where he wanted. So I can't knock him for that. But yes, the simple fact with that attitude, like you said, the Bucs can't do worse. We cannot do worse. I think Canales is going to just really get this offense humming. And if this offense hums and the defense is still healthy, God help the NFC. I'm not scared of Dallas. I'm sorry. I don't see them. I see them always choking because Dak is quarterback. The biggest threat between us is Eagles. And if their draft players this year pan out, damn, they're going to be a team that's going to have a Super Bowl window for 5 years.
For sure.
So.
But one of the things I like about the Dave Canales hire is we didn't go and usually what happens when a head coach hires an OC or a DC or what have you, they don't genuinely tend to look at other teams. They tend to look at who they know, who they've worked for, and who's worked with them in the past. And I like the fact they didn't do that because sometimes you can be given someone, I'm not saying like nepotism, but it's kind of like who knows you, yeah? You get given a job. We've seen it where head coaches have been cut, and two weeks later they just be like, Frank Wright had no reason to just walk from one NFL team to another NFL team. That guy should have dropped the year and done a Matt Nagy and just became a good OC again, and then built himself back into what he was. To be fired by a team mid-season and replaced by a guy who's just really good buddies with the owner, to then just be like, oh yeah, we're going to rebuild, and we're rebuilding with you. We're rebuilding with you. Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, was there nobody else available? Like, that was a speedy, if I remember correctly, that was a speedy hire. It wasn't like they took their time with that one. They were like, oh, yep, that's our guy. But he's didn't he play there?
Yep.
Right. Yeah. So there's who knows you. The front office knows you. So the thing I like about the Dave Canales side that nobody knows him. He is coming on reputation, and his interview and all the work that he's put in, rather than, oh, there's this really good guy over here that I worked with once upon a time and we were on the same staff in way back when. Because that's usually what happens.
Yeah.
It's almost like, I know this person, I trust this person, I'm bringing them along for the ride. And sometimes we hear these guys are good and sometimes they're not.
Yep. And sometimes they tear down a franchise. We're talking about Chucky and Bruce Allen. Oof. Ooh, those were some bad. That was a toxic relationship. Good God. So yeah, you're absolutely right though, Slick. This man, they believe in him because they're saying they saw product over peers. They said, hey, look at what he did with Geno Smith. You still can't tell me to this day Geno should get his own movie because of that. Because I thought Geno was done. So I do agree with you.
After mad respect to being able to do that. I mean, obviously, there's more to it than just Dave Canales. There's the OC and what have you, but the fact that he was a part of that, and obviously he spends the quarterbacks coach spends the most amount of time with the quarterbacks, and like his whole idea of getting Drew and them two together, not telling either of them that there's one of them's the starter, making them compete, and then you got two people with a starter's mindset rather than a guy who, as soon as you, like in his press conference, says as soon as you tell one of them's a backup, they'll go into backup mindset and they won't try as hard. They're not hungry because there's nothing to fight for. They're hoping the other guy fucks up so they get an opportunity. That's basically their mindset.
Right.
Whereas when you are fighting for the job, until you know you haven't got it, you are fighting. And that's a beautiful thing, because I remember I don't know who it was who asked the question, and they turned around and said, well, what about giving one person more reps and what have you? They have enough time. Trust me, there's enough time in the world to get them ready. The amount if they want to, they can rotate them. One's going to do the second team while one does the first team. It's that simple. Yeah, and then flip them back round. So no one's losing time. I think the idea of like every single rep's going to gain you like this experience point, I don't think it's always the case.
Right.
I think sometimes that's just media speak.
Agreed.
And then Mayfield had like a four-week warm-up in this offense last year when he was with the Rams. You know, the Sean McVay offense, they brought it to Seattle, and Canales is bringing it from Seattle to Tampa. So Baker already has some experience here. So if he loses a couple of starting reps to Trask in practice, that's really not that big a deal.
No, not at all. And we don't care who wins. We talk about it. We want Trask, but whoever gets the damn job done.
And that's one to ask you, JT, as well. Like AJ finished.
No, that's it. You go ahead and ask him.
All right, I'll go and I'll ask him. Okay, so where's your head at and where's your heart at on who should be the starting quarterback?
Who should be? My head says it's going to be Baker Mayfield, and it should be. I think he's more talented. He's more experienced. I'm not a big Baker Mayfield believer by any means, but I think in this system, he can do well. I don't think he'll be great, but I think he can be what Jared Goff is in Detroit. Make a couple of big throws, manage things. Don't ask him to do too much, and you can be successful. My heart, I guess I would say Trask, because honestly, Baker Mayfield has kind of big tool energy, and I don't think I like him. So
yeah,
just I don't know. He rubs me the wrong way. Something about him. So I guess I'd like to see Trask succeed. You have him under contract for longer, so there's some financial benefit there.
That's literally the only reason for me. And it'd be nice to have that we developed a franchise quarterback. It's a nice thing to turn around and go, because we've never had one. We've never had a franchise quarterback that we drafted and built and kept and had for X amount of seasons, or like for longevity, or they've always gone after 5.
Exactly. So that would be nice.
That would be pretty cool. But if it also means going into like next year. I mean, I've already said to AJ, if Baker Mayfield ends up having a season of 28 touchdowns, less than 12, less than 14 turnovers, including interceptions and fumbles, and he gets 4,500 yards, he's probably earning a payday of $35 million a year.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what Daniel Jones got last year, and
Geno Smith.
guarantees will be a big thing about that. But that's kind of the going rate for a quarterback you can win with these days.
And then on top of that, you've got Antoine Winfield to re-sign. You've got
Tristan
Devin White's probably gone at that point. Realistically, I don't want to be harsh, but if you had to pick, if you had a quarterback that had that year, then you have Tristan Wirfs, who probably most likely will have a good to potentially great year. We don't know what he's going to look like as a left tackle. We don't know yet. We don't know what that really looks like, but he's not going to be poor, and his track record for being a right tackle is already impeccable. So he's going to get paid. He should get paid. You can't afford to pay all four of those guys, so you're going to let one of them walk. And you just can't let a franchise level potential quarterback walk out your lap to stick with a linebacker. Because the franchise quarterback can keep you in for a decade. A franchise linebacker won't. Unfortunately, that's the real world right now.
Yeah, that's the
you can have a terrible linebacker and survive. Well, maybe not survive, but your quarterback play can make up for it. You can have an average linebacking crew and still do pretty well. I still don't know the names of the Bills linebacking core anymore. I still don't know the Cincinnati Bengals linebacking core. I don't know the names of the Chiefs linebacking core. I think I might know one of them. But they're not
another one. They don't put any resources into linebacker.
And this is what I mean. But they're in the playoffs.
And we know who their quarterback is.
Exactly, that's my point.
And we know that they got that dog in them. Yes, that's why it's a tough spot. It's one of those things. It's cool to have a tough spot when you have a lot of talent, and you got to learn how to break who you're going to pay. But in the long run, we just want a successful team. That's why I'm sold on the Bucs being successful, because we don't have that many holes. The NFC South is still this Derek Carr situation. It's making me happier more and more that we actually didn't get him, because the hype behind him. I like Olive as a receiver, Chris Olave, but he's not even Chris Godwin. So I'm not even gonna disrespect Mike Evans like that. But you don't know how the offense is gonna go. Your running back is gonna most likely be suspended. Your defense is getting old. We don't know. We just don't know. Falcons are the Falcons. They still don't have an identity. Panthers, we're going to see what Young does. I'm not sold yet. I don't think he's going to be good early.
Not his first year. Not many rookie quarterbacks just go and have an amazing year. Look at Burrow at the Bengals. He did not have an amazing year. He showed promise, and you could go, I can see what the future could hold, but not many rookie quarterbacks go out and just ball out and take a team to the playoffs. It doesn't.
He was getting killed.
That's very painful.
Yep, I agree. You are absolutely right. So this is why the sky is the limit. We're not here as real Buck fans. We're not saying this is a 14, 15 win team. No, not at all. We know that. We're not even saying they're going to get to the Super Bowl. A respectable loss in the divisional round. Now you've set this team up to get back on the Super Bowl run, because we know this draft right here is going to determine how we go next year. So 11 wins in your mid round, we'll see what pieces we need, and we might be able, if someone on the line is bad, JT, we might be able to finally get another right tackle in the next year's draft that can complete this line. So say what you want, the Bucs are in good position, and I'm here for it.
And I think the big X factor there is the schedule and the teams, not only the Bucs play, but the whole NFC South. You look at the NFC North and the AFC South; those might be the two worst divisions in football. Mm-hmm. So, I think even the Saints and the Falcons are going to pick up 4-5 wins against those kind of opponents, because outside of Jacksonville, AFC South is terrible. Outside of Detroit, I think the NFC North isn't very good. So, there's 4, 5, 6 wins potentially for any of these teams.
And it might just come to, so what your vibe is, JT, is your feeling it's going to come down to the divisional matchups rather than how many wins you can pick up outside your division.
Oh yeah, I think division matchups are always more important, but this year in particular, where I think not a lot separates any of these teams, and I think they all have a good chance to win their schedule because it's pretty favorable for all four of them. You got to win those games versus the Panthers. You got to win those games versus the Falcons. Just take one versus Saints. I don't care if you just take one. Just get one. Let them have one. They always get one, but just got to get a couple of wins versus those division opponents.
Yeah, not last year though. We took them twice.
Right.
And
We're on a roll. We can't be
We
stuck.
had a shitty season.
Hey, they said they built that.
We beat the Saints twice. That was good.
It was good. Was it 2007 or something? That was the last time or something like that.
Yeah.
Last swept them.
Yeah.
It was something like that.
Yeah,
but here's the thing: they built their defense to beat to beat the Bruce Arians system or what have you.
Yep.
Because it was so broken under Bold, I think we had success against them.
True.
Because it wasn't what they were expecting. So
and losing Hendrickson hurt them a lot more than what they thought. I think that they thought Hendrickson was only good because of Cameron Jordan, when in reality, Hendrickson actually helped restore some years to Cameron Jordan. So them losing that, because look at what he did when he got to Cincinnati. He still was the same guy. So you're right. This Saints defense isn't what it was even 2 years ago.
Keeps getting defeated.
So I do think that you're right, JT. We got to win those home games. We got to win those division games. And you're right. Realistically, if we drop one game from the Saints, that's fine. If we sweep the Panthers and Saints, I'm all for it. I can take one loss against the Saints if we sweep everyone else.
I think if you do it that way and we go 5-1 division, 5-1 divisionally, you're looking at this team being a playoff team.
So
probably double-digit wins if you get 5 from the division.
There you go.
You got 5 in the division. You got 5 in the division. That means there's 2 teams with 2 owls automatically. There's 1 team with one owl that you've given them, which means gives you a pecking order. You beat them in the tie breaks, and then on top of that, there is other teams that we're playing against. We're playing against a couple of teams in the AFC South. They ain't that great. And then the NFC North, as you said, outside of the Lions, the Vikings. It all depends on what the Vikings. If the Vikings can clean themselves up and they get Dalvin back, then yeah, I can see them being this. But you never know. They're one of those teams that just drop it. I wish we were playing them on prime time, because they always drop the fucking ball on prime time.
Yeah. So yeah, look, guys. The Bucs are in good business. That's the most important thing. The Bucs are in good business, and as long as there's no injuries, and I'm sure as the summer camps come on, the OTAs, we'll be able to have more insight on who's realistically is going to make an immediate start, who is going to be a project, and who's going to be a steal. So I'm ready for it. But and on that note, though, fellas, I'm gonna remove myself. But JT,
I've got it. I got it as well. It's about 4 a.m. over here. I got to go to bed.
Thank you for your time, and for all the other Buck fans out there, appreciate it. Continue to catch us. Bucs Report Aftermath every Monday 9:30. So for me, you guys can always catch me on It's About Bucking Time, and just check me out. And thank you guys. I will see you guys later on. And at the end of the day, go Bucs.
Go Bucs.